guys doing?
John, y'all good?
Good. Yeah. All good.
All right, being joined now by freshman right tackle Blake Miller. Y'all fire away with questions when ready.
Well, you got one under the belt. Talk about the experience of walking out there in the stadium and then getting to play and getting hit and all that fun stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely kind of surreal, being able to walk out there and just a year ago I was watching college football on TV. Now I'm out there playing, so it was definitely a surreal experience. Really, really crazy. Definitely something I'll never forget.
I don't know how much you listened to the outside noise, but as camp went on, they started talking about your name more and more. Did you hear those kind of things? And how do you block that out and keep your head level in that situation?
I mean, yeah, I did hear it, but it was something where I didn't put much weight into it because every day I just need to go out there and just give it 110%, and the result will take care of itself. It wasn't something where I heard that and then I thought, oh, yeah, I have this locked in. It was, every day I had to fight for the spot, and it's still every day I go out there with the mindset that I'm going to go fight for that spot.
Blake, coming out of Ohio, you had a lot of folks trying to probably push you towards the Buckeyes and some other schools in the area. What made you pick Clemson, one, and two, what's the communication level like between you guys when you're a freshman walking into a more senior and junior late in the line there?
Yeah, just coming here, just the environment was so much better than any place I'd ever seen. It was just the care for the players, just the development, and then also too, just the D-line we have here going against them in practice every day. It'd be very difficult not to get better. So just the environment was amazing, and just the way that Coach Sweeney cares about his players and tries to develop them is amazing. I love that.
What's it like right now, learning from that film from Monday as now you try and prepare for another game? How much would you say you have learned? Is it kind of open up now that you see it in action and having put the playbook, down to action?
Yeah, I'd say, obviously stuff in practice, like, I knew things that I needed to work on, and then in the game, definitely it showed that too. And then just going into this week, just looking at those things I need to work on and really in practice focusing on them, just the technique and stuff, and just being dialed in on that so that next week, hopefully those issues that I had and those technical problems that I had will, go away.
How do you balance working on some of that stuff, especially like the technical stuff, on top of, obviously, you've got schoolwork, and then preparing for that next one? It's just kind of never ending.
Yeah, I'd say, balancing it is definitely kind of difficult, but just if you have your time slotted out and you just get your schoolwork done, you're diligent with that, and then also, too, you're diligent with the film and you're diligent with looking at what you need to improve and going out there and improving it, it's definitely doable.
How would you assess your performance relative to what you expect of yourself?
Definitely things I need to improve. I'm not going to go out there and say I played great just because, every day, every game, every practice, there's things you need to improve. And I just looked at the film, and good or bad, I just look at it as there's things I need to improve, and I'm going to do my best in this coming practice and this coming week and, these weeks forward to improve those things and by the end of the year be the best player that I can be.
Speed of the game, did that take some getting used to, adjusting to?
Not as much in the game, just because in practice and stuff, the way Coach Sweeney sets up our situations, the way he does our live periods, the speed of the game is 100% there in that. So maybe getting here in the spring and doing that, the speed was, different. But now it's kind of something I feel like I've acclimated to.
How excited are you for this first game in the stadium?
Oh, definitely excited. All the remodeling and stuff they've done, it looks amazing. Just being in there for scrimmages, no one in there still, it was amazing.
Blake, what's the biggest lesson or takeaway that you've probably learned from your first game in your belt?
I'd say keep a cool head. Don't let a play in the past affect your plays in the future, and then just every play go out there and just play 120%. And if you do that, everything else will take care of itself.
Is that one of the areas you think you came up a little short? Was just lingering on things? Where tell us about that.
I felt like in the past I had a tendency to linger, but it's something that I felt like I got a little better at. And now I just, I just every play is, one and done, and then look at it as, maybe I messed up on this, and then just think about that and work on it the next play and make sure that mistake doesn't happen again.
Dabo said there were some technical breakdowns from you that he didn't see a whole lot during the preseason, during camp. What are some of those technical aspects, fundamental aspects that you feel like you still need to improve on and get better at?
Yeah, so in pass pro, just trusting myself, being confident in that, just not opening my hips up and just staying square with guys. It's something that, in this practice, it's something I've just drilled in my head. And this week that, I'm not going to flip my hips. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to be confident in my sets.
Do you feel like your run blocking is ahead of your pass pro at this point?
You know, I feel like there's work to be done in both, to be honest. You know, nothing's ever perfect, so yeah, I'd like to improve both. You know, everything needs to be worked on. It's just how it always is. It's a never-ending, you know, cycle.
Well, when you look to your left, you see a guy like Walker Park sitting there, a guy's been here for a while. What has he helped you along with, and how do you lean on him as far as going through practices and game and everything?
No, 100%. I'm so grateful for Walker. He's really, you know, helped me through this whole thing, mentored me, and I'm just so happy that he's been here because he's been able to teach me things technically, mentally, and then he's been able to sit down with me and, you know, go over film and show me, you know, the things to look for, all that. And just he's helped me immensely, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me.
How about your own defense? How much of a role do they play in getting you ready? How much do you appreciate those guys?
Oh yeah, you know, going against dudes who are projected first-round picks, you know, one of the top defenses in the nation every day in practice, definitely, you know, like I said, it's hard not to get better doing, you know, going against them just because there's such a strong defense. The blitzes they throw at you are so exotic, and then the athletic ability that the dudes up front, the dudes and the linebackers have just forces you to get better.
Things really started to click when the pace was picked up with DJ. What's different? What do you notice? What do you guys see?
I feel like in practice, Coach Streeter's done a great job of pushing our tempo and making sure that we're getting on the ball. And you can just kind of tell if when we start pushing the tempo, after a little while, the defense is gassed. They can't really keep up, but you can tell that our guys are still completely fine, and we're out there just pushing forward. So, you know, Coach Streeter's done a great job with that, and I'm so grateful that he's, you know, pushed us as much as we have, because if we can use our tempo to our advantage and wear teams down, that's a great thing.
Is that something you guys see, like you can't always do? Like, well, I mean, you know, normal person out there would say, well, then just push the tempo all the time. What's the balance there that you guys have found?
Yeah, I feel like there has to be a strategic part to it. You can't just go out there a million miles an hour. You know, sometimes you want to kind of, you know, play it not slower, but, you know, you want to take your time on things and just make sure that, you know, you're calling in the right plays, I don't know, like from an offensive perspective, but yeah, it's, you know, there's an advantage to playing it slower, but then there's also times where you want to play fast, push the tempo.
Can you tell us about some of the other young offensive linemen who's coming up to where you are?
I feel like everyone in the offensive line room is just, they have their head down working. You know, everyone who's in there is going 100%, and I feel like Coach Austin does a great job in demanding that from us and also motivating us to give that 110%. So just everyone in there is doing an amazing job, and, you know, it's amazing to see everyone just full speed ahead, just working.
What about the first year guys? What's the learning curve like? What's the most important thing?
I'd say, you know, picking up the playbook was definitely something that was not really an adjustment, but, you know, picking up the playbook, the calls, the change that you can make at the line, that was something that was kind of an adjustment for, you know, a lot of guys. And then just, you know, everyone has a great work ethic, so that was never really a problem for them, but just, you know, getting used to the speed of the game, picking up the playbook.
What's the biggest difference between practice and then you get out there in your first game and how to get that first game action?
You know, I'd say the stakes of it, because in practice you make a mistake, it's, you know, obviously you made a mistake, but it's not national television, it's not, you know, affecting the outcome of the game. Whereas in a game, you go out there and make a mistake, like it's going to affect the game. You know, you might lose a possession, you might lose a score. You know, the mistakes aren't as big of a deal in practice. Like obviously they are, but they're not as, there's not as much gravity.
You talk about mistakes. I mean, what were the wave of emotions like when that linebacker gets by you and DJ then flips it to Shipley and you get 10 yards on that third?
No, yeah. You know, he got by me. Obviously, not a good feeling at all. It's, no offensive lineman wants that feeling ever. But then, you know, seeing DJ make that play, it was kind of amazing just to watch him. Just, you know, the IQ he had to flip it to Shipley, and then just the athletic ability that Shipley demonstrated getting those yards.
I think your coach told me you were squatting 585 pounds against the Strongsville. Are you up over 600 now on the field? Do you feel like physically did you prove to yourself that you're pretty equal to the people you're going up against?
I don't know if he broke 600 yet. We haven't maxed out in a while, but definitely staying up there. And then just on the field too, just the strength aspect. I try and play with strength and just move guys and just play as hard as I humanly can, and the strength definitely helps.
Any questions for Blake from Zoom?
Yeah, Blake, being from Ohio, what were the reasons that you chose Clemson as opposed to Ohio State or some of the other schools that offered you?
Yeah, I really love Coach Sweeney's culture here. Just the way I love the accountability. His program is just amazing, and like I said, it's difficult not to get better here if you just follow the things he teaches us and the things he tells us. So I was just really proud of, or not proud of, but I really enjoyed and loved just the culture he has here, and I still do. You know, it's amazing what he does.
Anybody else?
Moving from left tackle in high school to right tackle at Clemson, any technical stuff that you've had to pick up on, or what's that transition been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously, you know, it's the same fundamentals, just flipped to the other side. So, just I guess getting used to it, you know, and obviously in high school playing left tackle and then flipping to right, it was just I had to take more reps at things to get things down pat.
Anybody else for Blake?
Have you ever met Mitch Hyatt? Did you talk about being a freshman lineman?
Yeah, I haven't met Mitch, but you know, I really am looking forward to meeting him and just kind of picking his brain on it, just because you know, obviously it's definitely a adjustment, and I'm just curious to see if he has any tips or pointers. I try and pick as many things up from as many people as I can, just to you know, hopefully not replicate their mistakes, but replicate their successes.
Anybody else?
Blake, when you went back and watched the tape, what was the biggest thing that stood out as far as maybe where you struggled or where you did what you did well, kind of where you need to grow, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the number one thing I want to improve is my sets. Like I said, the confidence, not flipping my hips as soon. I just want to improve that, and then, like I said, just focusing on that in practice, making sure I'm confident in my sets, confident in my ability, keeping my hips square, setting back on those guys.
Anything else for Blake? All right, thank you, Blake.
Thank you, guys.